A great evening to you. Warm welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this bulletin, Institute of Climate and Environmental Governance challenges ECG's request for 225% in distribution service charge, arguing it is unjustifiable. We are live with Energy Think Tank. Also in this bulletin, Gold Board to commence local gold refinery as part of broader expansion strategy in October 2025.
The Gold Board, in conjunction with the Bank of Ghana, is partnering local refineries such as the Gold Coast Refinery to begin the local refining of gold purchased and exported by the Gold Board. And this will begin next month, October 2025.
Plus, the National Procurement Conference aimed at tackling corruption and promoting sustainable development is just days away. We will be speaking with the president of the Ghana Institute of Procurement and Supply. We have details of this and more lined up for you. Please stay on. Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojobaka, and look now at our stories. The Institute of Climate and Environmental Governance has expressed concern about ECG's proposal to increase its distribution service charge by 225% for the 2025-2029 regulatory period. According to the Energy Think Tank, although it believes in a reasonable upward adjustment to recover operational costs, the proposal to increase the tariff is clearly against the principles of fairness, accountability, and sustainability. Before we bring in the policy lead, climate, finance, and energy transition, Kwesi Yamwa Abedu, let's first take a listen or watch the ECG's certification for their demand of a 225% in distribution service charge.
Then we are carrying on the phase 2 of what we are calling the telemetry, where we want the customers to really have real-time access to their energy consumption, which is key for them. We've rolled out the infrastructure already, and we are currently trying to onboard the customers to have real-time access to their energy consumption. And that's what we are calling the phase 2, which we intend to do under the year under review. And then we are also expanding our network in Dawa, because Dawa is now getting populated. Tema is almost full, there's no land space. And so we are expanding the distribution network in Dawa, and we intend to do 9.8 kilometers of double circuits, twin tower distribution network, just to feed the industries. We are looking at steel companies and heavy industrial companies in Dawa. Then in Tema, there's still congestion in Tema, the land space and the spatial development, and some few issues. And so that really affected the nature of our network. And so we intend to handle the congestion by putting up a switching station somewhere in the middle of our land space. And this is expected to manage the congestion on the network. And then we intend to also upgrade our substation in Tema. Currently, if we have a load transfer onto one of the transformers, the total load in Tema will not be able to be fed by that transformer. So we intend to upgrade our 33 MVA to 66 MVA transformer in Tema.
So these and many other justifications were given by ECG. Let's bring in the Institute of Climate and Environmental Governance. Kwesi Yamwa Abedu joins us via Zoom for us to have a conversation. Kwesi, thank you so much for making time to join us. So you've heard the justifications. What really are your concerns with ECG's proposal of the 225 tariff increase for 2025 to 2029 regulatory period?
Okay, good evening to your viewers and then your listeners as well. Like we indicated earlier, we at ICEG believe that the 225% increment proposal that ECG is seeking for is unjustifiable. The reason being that quite recently, PURC made an upward adjustment of almost 14.75%. At the time of computation of this upward adjustment, it was anticipated that the cedi would have depreciated further. Miraculously, and by dint of hard work, we could say that the cedi appreciated rather. By extension, we were looking forward to see a downward decline in prices of commodities, i.e. electricity tariffs. However, it still remained the same. And then here we are today, and ECG is telling us that in the next major tariff review year, that is from 2025 to 2029, they are looking forward to increase tariff by 225%. We must say this categorically, that ICEG is not against the increment of tariff. But then what we are asking for is that it should be reasonable such that it will be equitable to all. Increasing tariff more than what we can bear as citizens is just a way to take out the right people have to enjoy electricity and then make them, excuse me to say, poor and poorer. Why do I say this? We understand that electricity is almost a basic commodity that we need to go about our daily activities. Businesses and households need electricity. And so if you are increasing cost of electricity, what you are just trying to say is that goods prices of commodities will also go up. And then households would also suffer to be able to keep up to. Now, let me give you this scenario. As it stands now, the disposable income of individuals haven't experienced any form of increase. And then here we are expecting that almost 225%. It means that if you are consuming almost like 100 cedis at the moment, in 4 years' time, by the time the tariff would have been spread across, you would have been paying almost times 2 of that, which I believe that is highly unfair.
But if you say that you believe in the reasonable tariff increase, what then is a reasonable tariff are you looking at? What are you looking at really?
Okay. With a reasonable tariff, we are looking at within the period of 4 years, it shouldn't exceed 50%. If it was between such a space, I think that we would have deemed that as reasonable, in that you are looking at a 4-year period where you are factoring in inflation and then depreciation of the currency and then exchange rate. So is it that ECG is trying to say that in the next 4 years, they are expecting so much depreciation of the currency? And then are they expecting so much of inflation to go up? I understand that there are certain investments that they ought to do to be able to extend power to other places in Ghana. However, it shouldn't be at the detriment of Ghana. The problem with ECG is with commercial and technical losses. We've always been saying this. If ECG can minimize its technical losses, at the end of the day, they would be able to reduce the inefficiencies and then make some gains. But instead, people are tapping some power, or some individuals are tapping power for free and then are not paying. It is not the job of us, the ordinary citizens, but rather, as much as we are citizens and not spectators, it is the job of ECG to ensure that people who are consuming are paying.
That's fair.
Quite recently, we saw some move by the ECG to install new meters so that they would be able to measure exactly what people are consuming. And then there has been kind of some level of agitation towards that we are even paying more than we are consuming. As it stands now, if you even purchase 100 cedis worth of credit from ECG, the maximum it can take you to almost is like a week, and depending on the appliances you are using. So we believe that it is not fair in the sense that you also should be looking at it from the lifeline perspective. How many people within the lifeline consumer bracket will be able to afford that? And then how many people can't afford that? All these should be come into play. Apart from the economic factors, you are looking at equitable remedies or equitable ways by which these people can be able to pay.
But you would agree with me that it is a proposal they are making, and largely the ultimate goal lies, or the short lies on the table of PURC. So what then becomes of your argument if at the end of the day PURC doesn't factor their proposal?
I understand that at this stage it is a proposal. That is why our caption in our release, we captioned it clearly that is a proposal. But mostly from the policy perspective in this country, It is at this stage that you can make an input. Mostly when it gets to PULC and then the occasion the increase, it's very difficult to reverse it. That is why we are adding our voice now, so that PULC will take a critical look at it with respect to public consent, because the public is worried. I do not believe that those of us, I'm sure that you also consume electricity and you do purchase electricity as well.
All right.
I'm not sure that you'll be so much happy paying 225%.
Certainly
as much as you are good citizens and would want stable power. If it is different, if ECG is even assuring us of a constant power supply, uninterrupted, but mostly it is not the case. The kind of services we are getting from ECG and then the amount we are expending to buy energy does not equate. It is never the same.
All right, Kwesi, thank you so much. Let's leave the conversation here, and subsequently we will expand it in our various news bulletins. Kwesi there speaking to us here on Business Live. I want to stay along on tariffs, and the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition has appealed to the public to remain calm amidst the proposal of a 225% tariff increase by ECG. Speaking on the sidelines of the launch of the Ghana Energy Awards, Deputy Energy Minister Richard Jan Mensah explained that the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission remains the final body empowered to set the tariffs.
ECG doesn't set tariff. Tariff is set by the PULC. So as part of the stakeholder engagement, ECG as a stakeholder have also come out with their proposal. So it doesn't necessarily mean that that is what we are going with. So I would just want to take this opportunity to address the public that they should just discount that it is a stakeholder and everybody has the opportunity to also air their views. So ECG has aired their views, but that is not what PULC would work with. It's PULC which sets tariff. And we know, as part of the IMF conditionalities, Ghana will do a quarterly adjustment. And then in September, October, we do the MITO, the major tariff adjustment, which currently is getting closer. So that is why the PULC is engaging all sector players. And I believe that is why also ECG as a stakeholder also made mention of what they project, but that doesn't mean that's what we'll work with. With all things working out, at the end of the day, I am very hopeful that the PULC come out with a tariff that is reflective of the costs and then also actually also considerate of the current economic situations as well.
Still on the energy sector, the chairman of the Ghana Energy Awards panel, Kwame Jantua, has called for bold innovations in the energy sector to ensure consistent power supply for socio-economic development. Mr. Jantua highlighted the significance of sustainable energy as a driver of growth across various sectors of the economy. He spoke at the launch of the 9th Ghana Energy Awards organized here in Accra.
Nominations for the 9th Ghana Energy Awards open on Tuesday, September 9 and will run until October 31, 2025. The awards will honor individuals and companies across 32 categories, including 26 competitive ones. Dr. Kwame Ampofo, ambassador designate to Hungary and a member of the jury, explained that this year's edition will introduce new categories focused on innovation.
We have introduced also new categories, looking at where the industry is already getting to. And we think that issues like innovation should be a critical competition element for people to try to be innovative, because society thrives and society grows on innovation, not on doing the same things over and over again. So we are looking at those who are infusing new technology and thinking outside the box, as most people will say. And so once we have this category, it will shape the behavior of the industry to move along those things.
Chairman of the awards panel, Kwame Jantua, noted that the 9th edition of the Ghana Energy Awards aim to drive advocacy and spark conversations on the role of energy in socio-economic development.
Repositioning the energy sector as a pillar of national development. This theme resonates powerfully with the critical juncture at which our sector stands. Energy is not just an enabler for development. It's the engine that powers industry, education, healthcare, digital transformation, job creation, and the economy as a whole. And our dependence on sustained power and continuous petroleum as a human race is unquestionable.
The 2025 Ghana Energy Awards will be held under the theme, Repositioning the Energy Sector as a Pillar of National Development. According to the organizers, the theme reflects a renewed sense of purpose, urging stakeholders to innovate boldly, implement decisive reforms, and foster cross-sector collaboration.
Away from the energy front, the chief executive of the Ghana Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi, has revealed that the board will begin local processing and refining of gold from next month. This is said as part of a sweeping reform of Ghana's gold sector. Speaking at the 2025 Minerals and Mining Convention here in Accra, Mr. Gyamfi confirmed that Gold Board is partnering with the Bank of Ghana to engage domestic refineries for refining gold before export, an initiative aimed at enhancing value addition and strengthening Ghana's economy.
The local refinery initiative is expected to reduce the reliance on foreign facility, cut processing costs, and boost investor confidence in Ghana's mining sector. Gold Board said the collaboration is designed to strengthen Ghana's gold value chain and improve revenue generation.
The Gold Board, in conjunction with the Bank of Ghana, is partnering local refineries such as the Gold Coast Refinery to begin the local refining of gold purchased and exported by the Gold Board. And this will begin next month, October 2025. Let me at this stage commend the Chamber of Mines for expressing their willingness to work with us to ensure the local refining of gold produced by large-scale mining firms in the country. The Gold Board will continue to drive innovation. And in this regard, ladies and gentlemen, we have secured a parcel of land at the cargo village at the Kotoka International Airport to build an ultramodern ISO-certified assay laboratory.
He further revealed that the country exported a total of 66.7 tons of gold between January and August 2025 under the government's new gold export framework with small-scale mining companies.
Since January up to the end of August 2025, small-scale gold exports undertaken by or through the Gold Board, working closely with the Bank of Ghana, have hit a record high of 66.7 tons with an export value of approximately 6.3 billion United States dollars. What this means is that the volume and value of small-scale gold exports from January to August 2025 alone have exceeded the total small-scale gold export outing for the whole of the year 2024. That is from January to December, which stood at 63 tons with a value of about 4.6 billion United States dollars.
The Mining and Minerals Convention brought together policymakers, industry players, and international partners to deliberate on the future of Ghana's mining industry, focusing on local participation and regulatory reforms.
One of our lead stories, reimagining procurement and supply for sustainable development and economic resilience. That will be the theme for the National Procurement and Supply Conference, which takes place on the 16th and 17th of this month. And the Ghana Institute of Procurement Supply GIBS is spearheading this conference together with some other organizations. And I'm joined via Zoom by Dr. Simon Annan, President of GIBS. Thank you so much, sir, for making time to join us here on Business Live. And this year's conference theme calls for reimagining procurement for sustainable development and economic resilience. In practical terms, really, what does reimagining procurement mean for us as a country?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers. Of course, this year's event, the theme is reimagining procurement for sustainable development. And as you said, clearly we are looking at rethinking our procurement. Ghana has been procuring for the past 80 years, but that procurement hasn't been beneficial. We haven't seen real economic value in what we call procurement. Our mindset has always been buying because we follow the processes, procure, and that is it. But when we are reimagining procurement, it means that we having a strategic mindset on how procurement is done, transforming procurement into economic levers. So using procurement because government is the biggest spender of procurement. So we're using government procurement power or the purchasing power to transform the economy. So the conference is going to discuss issues bordering how we can rethink about procurement, okay, for economic development and ensuring that in our scheme of things, we procure with the mindset of promoting economic development. And promoting economic development will now take so many aspects of it. So for instance, we have our procurement laws and government spend probably 60% of its budget on procurement of goods and services. How have you used that procurement to transform the SME sector? So how have you also used procurement, okay, to ensure that we promote our economic transformation? And then also ensure that the industrialization agenda that we have embarked on, we use the government procurement purchasing power, procurement power to transform it. So I have written about even the 24-hour economy that government policy has changed on, and then ensuring that flagship policy is going to transform Ghana. Right. And if it's going to transform Ghana and we are not thinking about how government purchasing power or procurement power can be used to now launch into all the linkages in the society. Of course, we are going to procure, and we have been procuring for the past how many years? 60, 70, 100 years, and we haven't seen the benefit. But this time around, let's rethink about it. Let's reimagine. Let's renovate around public procurement and ensure that public procurement that we always procure for the benefit of the society. We are using it to enhance the economic development.
And Dr. Anna, I know you've consistently emphasized that procurement is a strategic thing, not a backroom function. How can institutions, both public and private, reposition procurement as a core driver of national development, really?
Thank you very much for this question. And as I said, procurement has always been seen as a backroom function. Now, when it's a backroom function, it means that it's an operational thing. So we just go ahead and buy. Buying means that there's no element of negotiation, there's no element of strategic thinking. But when we are moving to the strategic side, it means that we are positioning procurement as part of our national discourse, as part of our national agenda, and ensuring that whatever we are procuring, there is an element which promotes inclusivity, which promote ESG, which promote SME development, and then ensure that now there was a scheme of things that government is procuring. Why don't we even scale up and say, okay, we have an amount of resources, or we are seeding part of our procurement spend for the SMEs, so that when you are playing the SME space, you are not going to compete with the likes of the big companies or multinational companies when you are bidding government procurement. So we are ensuring that procurement mindset is more strategic. And when it's more strategic, we get value. So it's value-driven processes instead of just an operational processes. So how do we now ensure that procurement that we are procuring in the government sector, in the private sector, the mindset is more towards value-driven and solution-driven, innovation-driven? How do we use procurement to enhance our activities within the ministry?
That's fine.
How do we even think about other, instead of procuring or buying, how do we now think about leasing? How do you now think about that development? So that's the thinking.
All right.
About
not
function, but a function that becomes the national agenda.
So in a minute, Mr. Annan, as we head into the National Procurement and Supply Conference on 16th and 17th, what outcomes or commitments are you hoping to emerge from government and private sector, as well as the procurement fraternity, really?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
I'm asking you to tell us, as we head into the National Procurement and Supply Conference scheduled to take place on 16th and 17th, what outcomes are we looking at?
So we call on everybody, both policymakers, politicians, industry players, and then professionals to join us at the UPSA auditorium on the 16th and 17th. That's next week. And we're looking at clear outcomes of this conference. One, how do we change the discussion and narrative of procurement in Ghana? Everywhere you go, whatever you're doing is about procurement. But how do we change that narrative from just procuring for the country, but having a strategic intention of procurement and ensuring that procurement becomes an economic lever of our transformation?
Great.
How do you also use procurement to promote economic development by promoting SME? And then the last thing we are looking at is professionalizing the profession of procurement in Ghana, because procurement has been relegated to the background. Professionals are not respected, and we are ensuring that after this conference, the narrative will change as we go on. So
Dr. Simon Anna, thank you so much. President of Gibbs, I truly appreciate your time. And that's it for Business Live for today. I am Pius Kojo Baka, grateful serving you.